See if that changes things. Let me get all my stuff. Okay, everybody, thank you for joining us today. My name is Annie Uzar. I'm a partner program specialist here at Parker Dewey. Thank you all for coming and being a part of this pilot. Paul, anything to add?
Nope, super excited to get started, and thank you for hosting this, Annie.
Of course. So I want to overview for anybody who's not fully aware what Parker Dewey is, what we do, why we do, as well as how you can participate in this funded program we have going on. So what is Parker Dewey? We're about 8 years old now, and Jeffrey, this is his, big vision, partnering with companies, colleges, and other organizations to really improve that early career hiring, increase diversity and retention outcomes for organizations, and ultimately change the hiring space and really flip internships on their head, what I like to say. We've had numerous companies join us from, some of those big hitters to startups to everybody in between. So we're excited to help anybody with their needs as, we see fit or you see fit. And I'll make sure to send these slides out too. So what are micro-internships? I know it's kind of a newer term. We know what an internship is, and we can envision, okay, it's typically when we have a college student working with us to help with different opportunities. Micro-internships really make it a short-term paid professional project that a student can do in that shorter amount of time. So instead of thinking about a whole semester or things like that, it's really how long would it take for this project to get done, for this student or motivated recent graduate to complete these deliverables that I need. And it can really be anything that your organization is in need of, whether it's, hey, our social media could use some attention, or our website, or we want somebody to look at our product design, really looking at cleansing our data because we've been so busy, we really need somebody to go through it. Those are all different examples of a project that a micro intern can do for your organization. So again, they're typically 10 to 40-hour projects. The ones that we'll be discussing are 15 hours. But again, they're on demand, mostly remote. But since we are focusing on the Miami area, there's no saying that a student can't come to your site and work in person, because we all know the value in that as well. We want to make this as easy as possible. Here at Parker Dewey, we make this as low lift for you as the organization. We want to take on the HR burdens, really making sure that we handle the payroll. The students are under NDAs with us, and there's no term to perm. I thought it was temp to perm, so that's new for me to read. Or fees for you to, maintain working with your micro intern. Should you find somebody that is somebody that's a great fit for your team and you want to work with them long term, we say right on. Glad you found some great talent to stick with, or you finish that project, you're done. Maintain a good relationship, have a great day. We like to, pride ourselves that over 80% of micro interns come from underrepresented populations. And again, these aren't meant to replace a full-time internship or full-time jobs, but it's really meant to solve that immediate need that you have for these projects. And again, right now, all of these opportunities that we're going to be talking about are funded. So it's not costing your organization a thing. It never costs you anything to just even be on the platform, but the projects we'll be discussing are funded through a foundation that we partnered with. And that is the Frederick A. DeLuca Foundation. So you may have recognized the name of that as the co-founder of Subway restaurant chain. They approached us sometime last year with this grant opportunity to really help with workforce development. And they have those ties with Florida and Connecticut. So that's why we're able to support these Florida schools and these students coming from our local area. So who can participate? Again, students in Florida in general. The ones that we're focusing on here, because the Miami Tech Talent Coalition, we really want to support those Miami roots and the universities that are targets for you all. So we have those set up already for you when you're posting the projects. Let's see if I can remember everybody. We've got Florida Memorial, we've got FIU. Oh gosh, Paul.
And MDC.
And MDC, of course. And then we've got BrainStation and 4Geeks as well as our other partners, learners who are eligible to participate in the program. So again, these aren't high school students. These are students who are within these programs or recent graduates of them. So the timeline is, we want things to be done as soon as possible. Grant money is grant money, and it does run out eventually. We have until the end of 2023. So I encourage you to be thinking about the projects you want to post. We pay the students, so again, no HR stuff that you have to do. I'll walk you all through the sign up process and all that good stuff. But really, as long as you make your account, post the project, tell us when the student's done, we handle paying them. And again, virtual versus in person, that's really up to you and your candidate that you end up working with. And again, no cost to you. So when you're thinking about what is this project going to be, think about tasks that keep on getting to push to the bottom of your to-do list. You're like, oh, I'll do that tomorrow, or I'll do that next week. But really would be a good thing for something to get done for you. You'll only see the candidates who are expressing interest. So these students from these schools are excited to work with you, and they're the ones that are even able to see your post and apply. And you know that they're interested because they've applied. You're not having to go out there and find them yourself. That's for being Paul to do. And then the work gets done. Ah, goodness. So this is kind of what it looks like. When you're on the TTC page, you'll see that everything's scoped for the 15 hours if you wanted to use our project templates that are on the site. We like this because it makes it easier, cleaner for you. You get some of that inspo, but you can, of course, go ahead and post a custom project if that is something that you want to go ahead and do. Maybe one of these templates doesn't necessarily have everything that you're looking for. And you might say, I want somebody to do all of these things. We can offer you 5 of these 15-hour projects. So it's 75 hours worth of work that you're not having to pay the micro-intern for. We do that for you. So you see on here, you go ahead and put the project, a little description of what you're looking for, what the intern can expect to be doing. They're going to be working for 15 hours. So as I said, it's not like they're going to be with you for a number of weeks or months. It's for the project. Whether they can get that project done in a week or a month, that depends on, everybody's schedules and what's going on. The cost here, again, this is not anything that's costing you. We put this here so that we can charge the program accordingly, as well as be able to pay the student and have that pay transparency for them as well. So they're able to be on the platform and see how much money they're going to make from this project, even before applying. And what you're going to want to include is the Miami TTC affiliation. That not only reminds us, hey, this is where this person is coming from, but it also enables the students from those colleges and partner programs that I discussed earlier for them to be able to see it. And it's going to be on their featured projects page when they log into the Parker Dewey platform. These are just a few sample micro-internships that different organizations have done. Really, again, kind of going to what are your organization's needs at this point, or where do you want that, college student or recent graduate perspective from? And this is what you'll see. When your candidates apply, you'll get emails, of course, when you have a new candidate that has applied for your post. And then you'll see your list of candidates. You'll be able to see their bios with their descriptions, where they're at, what their interests are, potentially a resume, portfolio, GitHub, all that good stuff. We encourage them to link on here, as well as the answers to any questions that you may want them to answer. This is a really great opportunity to screen the candidate and honestly prevent you from even having to interview them. Most organizations using our platform choose to bypass an interview because the profile and the questions really tell you all you need for somebody to work for a 15-hour project for you. and you can customize those questions as well. And then from there, you're able to approve the candidate that you want. You can also message them within the platform if you do have additional follow-up questions. So again, we want to make this so easy for you. Engage however you want with your micro intern. We do recommend to set up a kickoff call after you've selected them to kind of set expectations, give them whatever materials they might need or access to different portals, etc. I'm here to support you. Our client success team is here to support you with any questions you might have from, oh, I'm having trouble getting into my account, or, you know, I really can't decide between these two candidates. We're here to support you from A to Z with that. These students are so motivated to work with you and to be on this platform. They don't have to be on us. It's not a grade. They just really want to get this experience and continue in their professional development. And we have this 98% of project success of exceeding expectations. That's for our general Parker Dewey platform. We actually have 100% of exceeding expectations within our DeLuca program. So I'm really happy to share that information. And again, the students are really served well on the platform too. I know my background is within advising and career advising. I was actually at FIU for a bit. Go Panthers there, guys. But they really are able to rely on us as a team, use their in-class examples, use their faculty, mentors, anything that they need to get the work done for you and complete the projects. Once they've been selected, what happens, right? How do I get in touch with them? We actually encourage them to get in touch with you. The minute you select your candidate and say, yes, I want to work with so-and-so, they'll get an email connecting them with you and being able to communicate and set up that next step with you all. That should potentially look like a kickoff call. Nothing that's meant to take up too much of your time. 10 or 15 minutes to introduce yourselves, redefine the purpose of the project, set some deadlines, everything else in between from there. And again, if you need help, hi, I'm here. You all know how to find me. I'll make sure to email everybody again so you have my information. Or you can always email our support email, and whoever can get to you first. I like to be the first one, but we'll see. Whoever can get to you first can help. And then again, how does the student get paid? We want to make sure that they're fairly compensated. Whenever you mark the project complete within the platform, that tells us that the project is done and the student is ready to be paid for their processing. And you can always send them to us with any questions. I want to share a couple of our success stories, particularly with our FIU students. They are really the front runners in our South Florida participants on the platform, and they really are just blowing it out of the water. You're welcome to, check out our website with our success stories, but I just love seeing them come through. These students have completed so many wonderful opportunities and really made an impact on the organizations that they've worked with. Next up, post your project. You could do that using the TTC landing page that we have, and hopefully you have, but I can send it out again. Make sure you can share it with your teams appropriately. So again, discussing this internally, where our needs going to be best met with this organization and these programs and these funded opportunities, and going ahead and moving forward there. And again, if you have any questions, I'm here to support you. All right, I will stop babbling. Any other questions along the line here? Feel free to use the chat, everybody. Or if I missed anything, Paul and Jeffrey, feel free to chime in.
Yeah, one thing to add is that since we're focusing on tech projects, there are a ton of example projects on the Parker Dewey website for API integration, web development. I think Antonio here with La Calle, you mentioned you wanted to do an AI integration. And then we have a question from Antonio. Does our company sign an agreement with Parker Dewey?
Great question. You just have to agree to the terms of service on when you make your account, but there's no formal partnership.
There's no legal agreement between the companies.
There actually is. This is Jeffrey. I'm going to jump in on this. By
Jeffrey
the way,
knows more of that.
I promoted everyone so they can talk to make this more of a conversation. Hi, y'all. I'm Jeffrey. Beyond thrilled about this. Huge fans of Paul. huge fans of the program overall. So excited to be here. I come from financial services, so everything that we do is very belts and suspenders. So under the terms of use, which is the legal agreement, all of the students are under NDA, as is Parker Dewey. All of the work is assigned to you, so you own it, free and clear. There is no temp to perm fee, as Annie said, to the extent it's someone down the road that you want to hire. Everything is designed to be incredibly easy and supportive. If you have other terms you have questions about or whatnot, we're happy to discuss those. But what we found over the past 8 years is typically if legal or procurement or other teams at some of the bigger companies in particular review our terms of use, their comment is typically, yeah, everything we normally have to negotiate for is already included. We want this to be easy. We even bulleted some of the key points at the top of the terms of use to put into a language that I could understand, because I had no interest in, as a user of the platform, I would have no interest in reading the 5 or 8 page terms of use. Did that answer your
Additionally,
question? Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was going to add to that, in the students' terms of use, for them to agree to be on the platform, they also agree to the NDA that protects your information, and the intellectual property of the project is your company's. And the students also not even allowed to share that they worked with Paul's company. They worked and did a project, and this is the thing that they did, and they did it under Parker Dewey as the employer of record, unless you give them that permission.
All right, I mean, if we wanted to do a recommendation afterwards, stuff like that, they would obviously disclose that.
Most employers actually do want to give permission, because they feel like it's a great way to spread their name, improve employer brand, whether they're a one-person startup or Fortune 500. They actually typically really like that. We just want to be sensitive, because we've done projects, for instance, for private equity firms looking at acquisitions, and they don't want it publicly known that they're looking at a certain space. For instance, we do a ton of projects with Northrop Grumman, which has publicly talked about their work with us, but certain projects, they just don't want their name associated with it, just for, again, very specific reasons. But 9 times out of 10, the companies actually want the students sharing their organization name. And in fact, to take it one step further, a lot of organizations are actually very proactive. So we, as a Miami-based startup, want to highlight the fact and want to showcase the fact that we're working with an amazing FIU student who's from Miami, who's going to school. Like, that's a great opportunity for companies to showcase their commitment, for instance, to local communities.
Exactly, retain that talent in Miami.
And please don't call me Mr. I'm just Jeffrey. You should hear what most people call me. You should hear what Paul calls me.
The other question I have is related to, let's say, pre-training. Obviously, it's 15 hours, but if you say, hey, look, we're doing something very, very unique, you know, like, it'd be great if you took this 2 hours of, you know, courses on the internet where you're free. You know, is that count towards 15 hours, or is it something like, well, it would really be great if you had that experience?
Everything is project based. So 15 hours is an estimate. Might actually take the student 13, might take them 17. Everything is project based, and we do that to make it easier for you and easier for the student. Because we don't want a student coming back and saying, you said it was going to be 15 and this took me 30, and the expectation, like, we're trying to remove that. We're trying to make this simple, that we want you to do this, create a workflow in Salesforce doing these things. We think it'll take you 15 hours. Again, might take you more, might take you less. The expectation when the student raises his or her hand and applies for the project is they can get it done. They have the skills. Now, granted, I might feel like my workflow creation skills are great, but as I'm working on the project, realize I actually need to go do blah, blah, blah to bring them to the next level. Great. They're going to do that on their own, but you're paying for the completed project. We've also had situations, there was a great one where a company scoped a project. They thought it was going to take 20 hours. It was this massive lead generation. They picked a student at, I don't know, 9 or 10 in the morning one day. The student marked it as complete at like 2 in the afternoon. There's obviously no way it took them 20 hours. We followed up with the student. Student said, no, it's done. I'm certain. We followed up with the company and we're like, let us know how this went. And they're like, no, we got it and it's great. And we're like, okay, we'll just refund you. Like, and again, this wasn't a grant funded project. This was something to like, we'll just refund you. You clearly scoped it wrong. It couldn't have taken 20 hours because you only selected the student 6 hours ago. And their response was, no, 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 no. The student wrote this very complex script that actually went and pulled this data from all these sites that actually did this lead generation without requiring manual intervention. And they actually wanted to give the student a bonus because they found they weren't going to need to replicate this project for other geographies. They now had a technical tool they could use that the student created on his own. So we'll see things like that as well. Again, everyone's on the platform because they realize it creates a win-win outcome. Students are here, yeah, they're getting paid, but they're really working on these projects because they're hungry for the experience. They're hungry to demonstrate skills, build their resume, get their foot in the door of the startup, figure out if a startup is the right path versus a big company. And for companies, they're getting the work done, but it's this great way to engage and assess and build relationships with someone who maybe down the road you have more opportunities for. Sorry for my long-winded answer.
Thank you.
Does anybody have any other questions about the platform, the program?
I just want to also add, you can hire 2 or 3 students at the same time. Many companies have for research projects or for lead generation. It's kind of cool to hire 2 students and kind of give them a goal, not pin them against each other, but make it competitive, and see who can generate the most leads, who can maybe finish faster. They can exchange ideas. So the grant does cover up to 5 projects, so you could have 2 projects covered for each student, and then the 5th one can be for the best one. And also with Alberto, I think you wanted to post a CRM project. We already posted your first one. The CRM project, you can recommend that the student, they might have some background knowledge, but they can go to HubSpot Academy. That's what we recommend at FIU. A lot of the micro interns will take an hour, 2-hour course, and they can be proactive in that. Those are always the best students. They see a project, and you'll see that their certificate is on their LinkedIn. So they either prep for it, or maybe you already selected them and they took the initiative to learn about it. So the mentorship part is a huge part of micro internships, but these students are coming pretty prepared and definitely motivated to help you and your company out.
And going off what Paul said too, one student can do multiple projects with you. So if you say, you know what, I really only have one thing that I could use some help with, but it's going to be more than 15 hours, you can break that up into multiple 15-hour increments. So if you say, okay, this first micro intern, they really got it, I think they can continue to go on with us, we've agreed, and they can be hired for the additional iterations of the project in those 15-hour increments up to 5 projects. We have some people who do that as well. And again, along the way, if you have any of those nitty-gritty questions, just shoot me an email. Alrighty. Thank you, Paul, for bringing us all together today. Any other questions before we close out?
I'll jump in with one just very quick comment. The way I always think about the micro internships, whether it was when I was starting Parker Dewey or even today, is whenever I had those we should or I shouldn't projects come on my plate. We should go update a workflow in the CRM, but I don't have time, or we should draft a piece of content on blah, 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 but there's not enough hours, or I don't have the right skills. Or the I shouldn't be the one crunching this conference list. I shouldn't be the one reviewing the UX design for this new app because it's not the highest and best use of my time, or again, I don't have the right skills. Those are all perfect examples of micro internships. Those things sitting on to-do lists that we just can't get to. And whenever you have those we shoulds or I shouldn'ts, it's a perfect opportunity, especially through this grant, to post the project and get help from a highly motivated college student.
Awesome. And I just want to give a big thank you to Johannes and Kevin as well. They're the grant managers at the TTC and running this pilot as well. So huge thanks, guys, for getting the small businesses in here. And Antonio, if you want to post a project by end of week, we're all here to help. It's fairly easy, and we're here to help you scope any project that you think you need help with.
Perfect. And I may shop around a little bit too, around the other departments that maybe can use like our digital marketing side.
Awesome.
And we also, one of the things we found is those templates that are up there on the website and on the portal are usually really, really effective to showcase to the quote unquote hiring managers. Because again, using that example of marketing, I, as a marketing person, if you said, hey, do you have a 10-hour project? It might not just roll off the tip of my tongue. Maybe it will if I have a to-do list that looks like mine. But if you're showing them, here's some examples of marketing projects. Do you need someone to create a social media calendar? Do you need someone to do SEO research? Do you need someone to write an article? All of a sudden that light bulb goes off. Or you say, oh yeah, I need that. So again, you're not limited to those projects, but starting off by showing some of those projects tends to get people thinking and pretty excited. And they also wind up going down other paths. Oh yeah, I need this blog article, but do you know what? Once that's done, I could also use someone to help us socialize it on sort of X or Twitter or whatever it's called these days. Like go and figure out who the thought leaders are and what are the key hashtags and are we getting enough traction on blah, blah, blah. Let a college kid figure it out.
Yeah, I quickly want to add, the project lead is not necessarily the manager, the CTO, the CMO. Anybody can be the project lead within the company that's tracking what needs to be done. So that's also something big to mention to the managers, the hiring teams. Like we can get somebody that's been here a year or two to be the project lead, and be the manager that could even help your own employee managerial skills with somebody that's remote getting help. So that's a big thing too that companies love about Parker Dewey.
Excellent. Again, thank you all today for coming, for being a part of this pilot to really see how we can support the TTC and Miami's growth and development and keeping this talent here. Oh, Kevin.
Hello. We have enough time for one more? Hopefully so.
Of course.
Okay. All right. So I don't know if this was, I had to step away, so I don't know if this was asked or not. But let's say you have an intern and, maybe let's say they get a little bit caught up with like life circumstances and then they can't finish it out. They want to, but they're just kind of having some things going on. What could some of us do in that particular case?
Great question. Life does happen. That's where you can tap us in.
Mhm.
I'm working with somebody right now who said, you know what, the micro intern could only do half of the project. How do we make sure that the student gets fairly compensated and my work still gets done? We, of course, handle that on a case-by-case basis.
Oh, okay. All right. Thank you.
That's part of that 2% where things don't go perfectly.
All right, Javon asked about the funding. So this is all from the Frederick A. DeLuca Foundation. These are 15-hour opportunities where the student gets paid $300, and you could do 5 of these opportunities. Made sure to over budget time, but I think we're wrapping up here.
Thank you. There are a few people in the Miami Tech Works that have been using Parker Dewey outside of the small business capacity group, and they like it. We have one that got 5 immediately. So thank you.
Oh, and that's exactly how Jeffrey said of that student who, the position was posted and then they finished the project same day. I see it all the time where I'll, see a project get posted in one evening, the next morning, and they've already selected a student and the student wraps it up by the end of the week. It can really move that quickly as long as all the stars are aligned. But at the flip side, if you think, hey, this is something we actually need a few hours each week over X number of weeks, that's okay too. Just know that the platform is flexible and the students are here and eager to participate. All right, let me stop my recording.